president stopped that from happening. So it completely works.
Of course. And look, you know you're breaking the law. And if you're breaking the law, you've got to accept the consequences. You can't be going around doing what you want. And we're seeing, look, it's called recklessness. And if you have recklessness, you are totally blind to any consequence, right?
Yeah.
Children are naturally narcissistic. If you don't boundary a child, it becomes a psychopath. And this is what we're getting. We're getting lawless. And look at our prisons. Total and utter lawlessness in our prisons. I work in a prison at the moment. I do a day a week in a prison. The guards look like they're straight out of the housing estates. They look no different.
I'll be honest with you. I watched a documentary recently about prisons and the people who work in them. Not for me. Here's an interesting, just since we naturally segued into this, John. So the police, pretty corrupt, okay? What is the corruption like on the level of the prison officer, the prison guard? And I don't mean the guy who's just terrible at his job, lets people get stabbed, doesn't do anything. I mean the guy who's, bringing in shanks and, spice on paper and all this.
It's not so much the men. They're employing a lot of women that are local girls, and they're having relationships. They are being charmed by these Romeos that are doing time, and then they're getting in relationships. Sometimes with multiple relationships with inmates, and that's how a lot of the stuff's coming in. Like I say, the lads tell me all the time. They say a lot of the girls, we're getting the girls to do it.
Type one in the chat if you've got at least one friend from Liverpool with a prison boyfriend. One in the chat. Yeah, I don't get what the allure is to the bad boy. Okay, because I don't know.
It's Darwinistic, isn't it? Because that's the hardest boy on the block or whatever it might be.
Do you think that it's an amplified version of the condition that some women have, where they know they can be the one to change this guy? Do you see what I'm saying? There's that category of women that is drawn to the train wreck relationship because they believe they can be the one to change that.
Well, if that is their thought process, they're probably damaged people themselves.
Obviously.
That may well be the fact that they think that, but they themselves are damaged. And it's but corruption, it's been big, and it has to be rooted out. You can't have corruption. You can't have it, and you can't have lawlessness on the streets. Look, we pay good money to be police. We don't pay to be on the phone for an hour and no one turning up. If someone's kicking off, there's a domestic saying police should be there within minutes, booting the door in and flattening whoever the perpetrator is, and flattening them, making it. Who was it who said that I can't remember. It was Sir George Bernard Shaw said that the only justice a criminal gets is when the police arrest them, and that was back in the day when the police would turn up, and if they have to turn up, all hell will break loose, And same, you nick a car, we catch you, you're going to get a clump. And a lot of people, they do reminisce, including the old gangsters, they reminisce on the days of not only getting a clip round the ear roll, but also the gangsters will say, well, when the flying squad turned up, you knew you was in trouble. You knew that you was in trouble. But if there is no punishment, there is no consequence, you're going to have lawlessness and recklessness, and that is not fair for decent people. It isn't.
This is wild. I was assaulted last year by a 35-year-old substance distributor and user. Spat in my face 4 times. I don't know what this means. Skimmed a booklet in your eye. I hope you don't mean like a booklet in your eye, like a paper booklet. That sounds agony. I have COPD, arthritis, diabetes, and a heart problem. Police 5 days to come.
Right. And I really, really sympathise with that person. I know a guy who works in the telephone reporting part of the police. He said 80% of reported crimes, 80% of them, they're told to write off. They rely 80% of the times for CCTV corroboration. Now, that is not the public's job to get the CCTV for it.
I'm not being funny.
That's down to the police to deal with that.
Just go and find a group of really aggressive local users and pay them 20 quid to go and take a hammer to his hands. I'm not being serious. I'm not condoning that kind of action. I'm just saying oh God, I've forgotten what the word. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. The thing is, they wouldn't need to if the police did their job and went out there and made sure that person never did it again. Now, when it comes to rehabilitation of criminal, that's okay, but that's not the police's job. That may be the justice system's job.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that
get
would
you.
be the penal system to take over and realise where we've gone wrong. But we need to take our street. There should never, ever be a no-go zone. Never. You know, and when there is, they should send in the mad dogs that they've got, the ex-squaddies, the tough guys, and say, right, boys, go in there and sort this mess out.
She's 77. Oh no, nah. Do you know what? You just need a crazy mid-40-year-old son to come and deal with that. If you've got no kids that will come and deal with that, Miss Tuesday, I'll supply you with an email address and maybe we can make something happen one day. But just, do you know what? You know what you've inspired me to do? And buy my mother one of those body CCTV cameras. That's what she's getting for her birthday. If you're watching, Mum, good luck.
You know, look, the police have always done one thing: they pick low-hanging fruit. A detective's job is to look at information that goes towards a suspect and goes away from them. So they've got to go there, and if you want gold, you've got to dig for it. They should have tenacity. They should be going out there fishing. They should be recruiting informants. They should be, you know, really doing their job, which is what I enjoyed. I love doing it. You know, trawling through the internet, trying to find a clue, going through, making inquiries, linking in with the public, doing public appeals, doing surveillance, doing this. And then when they hit people, hit them hard and take them down. And especially if they're dealing on a house estate. No. You know, it's like a big glamour in it. No, get rid of it. And if you get rid of it, you get rid of the gun crime, you get rid of the knife crime, you get rid of the shoplifting.
Okay, so here's an interesting one for you, right? So how do we fix a situation where a lot of the time we're looking at under 20s who are selling substances that then turns into a turf war situation because of the other kids under the 20s down the street who are selling substances? There's no way for these, there's no opportunity. They've not done well at school. There has to be a bigger issue, right, than just police.
Of course there is. And we've got to stop blaming me and blaming you. Why are we allowing this? No, hang on, you bring a child into this world, mother and father, you've got a duty of care. 80% of all abuse goes on in the home. We have got a huge problem because of one thing: absent fathers. Men have got to stop having this baby mother, baby father bullshit attitude. It's dangerous and it's damaging. A kid needs both parents. Correct. And I'm telling you now, go back to old values, have mother and father on the scene. That, okay, things break down and there's some men that are pigs and there's some women that ain't nice, you know? We get that. But we can't base an argument always on the anomalies.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to school in the 1970s, there was one kid there who didn't have a dad, one kid. Is that representative now? Of course not. Of course it won't be. You know, most of the young lads I deal with, they have no male influence in their life. Now, Ron, you said something really interesting. I want to come back to this about Neds.
Okay.
Neds, non-educated delinquents, right? Now, there was a study done about Neds, the Glaswegian Neds, the West Coast Neds, right? The schemies.
Yep.
Now, the Glaswegian accent is a deep, guttural, class, abrasive accent, right? Okay. And they couldn't work out why these Neds.
I just want to say there's a lot of Glaswegians in the side chat. Okay, that is, you did cut out momentarily. So that John is giving a broad overview of the accent. That is not his opinion of the accent.
Look, there's a point that goes with this, and I think any
she's watching you, John. Kaz's watching. Okay. She'll get you, man. She'll get you.
All right, Hen. Listen, there's Kaz Bear, there's a reason for what I'm saying, and if you bear with me, you'll get this point.
Oh, he's not wrong, Kaza. I mean, I'm not being funny. Come on, mate. Right. I'm not being funny. Come on.
Yeah. You know, let's not be too sensitive about this. Right, there's a reason to this, and let me give the full context. Yeah. They couldn't work out why these Neds of recent years had this squealing, whiny accent, right? Where did that come from? And they found out why. That a lot of them had no male input in their lives. They were stuck in flats with a neurotic mother, maybe, for example, screaming and screaming. So their whole mimicking came from a squealing, neurotic, high-pitched woman. And that is why the male the Neds ended up with this more of a high pitch than
I
it
don't
did.
know.
I'll tell you,
I don't know.
it's look into it. It was a brilliant study done in it. Why?
Do you know
And
what that
I
sounds
can't
like to
remember who
me?
said it.
That sounds like an English woman who was very badly treated by a Scottish man, trying to dig her opinion in and come up with a madness. Okay, because I'll be honest, traditionally, I think the West Coast sounds more like what you would expect someone 500 years ago in Scotland to sound like. I'm not saying that they're all behind 500 years on the West Coast. I am a little bit. Okay, it's the West Coast. I'm East Coast. Anything outside